This would be the whining episode of
Wait,
Well,
so what makes it different than any other
than any
episode?
other episode. Exactly. All right, let's
that's
open this
exactly
thing
where I
up
was
and
going.
welcome everybody to this episode of Third and Too Long, another Jets podcast. And full complement today. Vinny is here. Gene is here. Dean is here for the whining episode. One more week left. Hope everybody you took a little time off for Christmas to enjoy the 50% off sale at the Jets shop. I was waiting for a bigger discount, but 50 was as big as it got. But we are back from the Christmas break and ready to analyze where the Jets are now, which is where.
Well, it is. I mean, how much more analysis can happen? Just
Well, no, I think there's some analysis. Let's talk about in a season of dumb games, we just got to see the dumbest game of the season against the Bills.
you know, I, I I don't know where to begin. I wouldn't know where to end. I don't know what's in the middle. So I'm just I
Let's
it was so bad I couldn't even fall asleep. I tried.
It was just so bad it just kept you up.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna take a nap.
You just turned on the news to get to lift your spirits before.
That's right. Yeah,
Well,
I
here's
want
a
to see
stat.
clips of I want to see clips of the Palestinians just to cheer me up or something. I don't know. It would have been anything. Would have been better.
Oh, God. Well, here's a charming stat for you. Aaron Rodgers in the game scored -2 points,
Yeah, yeah.
12 of 18, 112 yards, two interceptions, and a safety for our first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, Aaron Rodgers.
Who is now being compared to Fran Tarkington for the most sacks in a season.
You know, this was by far his worst game of his career.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. You know,
That's you know what? That's saying something. That is a long and illustrious career that this is the worst game.
yeah.
And it was just
You
like
know,
they didn't even try.
no, and that was it. I think you listen to coach, and he's like, "Oh, the effort was there, just the execution wasn't." Come on, and again, he's doing the nobility route of, it's on me, it's all that. It's just, and I'm done hearing that, right? No, the most telling was Sauce Gardner's interview, and he's the only one that said, without calling out individual players, he was calling out his players of having the right drive and you know the right mentality to approach the game, and I think that was, yeah, that was just telling. He hasn't had the best year. He called it out himself, but he just said, I'm not calling anybody out, but basically we need to. I'm paraphrasing, he was calling everybody out.
Right. Yeah. And look, this is
For
they just want it to be over too. And here's how this team has fallen. I mean, look, I don't think anybody expected. I certainly didn't expect them to beat the Bills in the division, right? We all thought Bills would win the division. But when they played the Bills the first time, it was 23-20. They
yeah,
almost won that game. They were, that was the Jets 1.0 of this year. They were in that game the whole way.
yeah, no, they were, and they were, and you know what are we talking, six games where they were in it and could have won it.
Yeah,
We go back with, you shouldn't be in the position to put your kicker in to win the game. Well, that's part of the game. So yeah,
right.
and he did before. How about this? They bring him back. They bring back Zerline, He never kicked. He never touched the ball. He never touched it. Like
Perfect. It's
what
he
a
was
mess.
perfect on the day.
Yeah. Yep.
I think the real
Terrible.
positive though that we have to take away from this is
Oh,
Tyrod
no, wait,
Taylor.
did you just say the real positive we need to take away from this? All right,
Well,
let me
there's only
buckle up for
one.
that one. Go ahead.
So there's only one positive, and that's Tyrod Taylor. Right? I mean, this kid, right now, I've been saying it all along. They've got this guy. He was kind of tossed aside by the Giants, by the Buffaloes, by everybody else, right? And he comes in and he takes care of it. Now, if you go back through Jets history and you look at all of the quarterbacks, with the exception of Zach Wilson, that have stepped in from a secondary position to take over, they've had success, right? Fitzpatrick, for one, he was probably the greatest that came in and really led them anywhere after Gino got, punched in the face and couldn't play. So, but I think that tells the tale there of like what can we expect, right? Do we need to go get a quarterback? What do we really need to do in the draft? Is there something there, right?
You
I
know
think
what?
it's
I got to push back on that. Those are, Taylor came in. Yes, he scored 2 touchdowns. Those were garbage time. I mean, it was already, what were they, 20, 30 something to nothing.
yeah.
I'm in agreement with Vinny on this. Where, yep, he comes in. He's a great athlete. He's got some talent. The reason he's not a starter is because he's not consistent and he's can't stay healthy.
Well, we're good at that. We have that gives me PTSD about Mekhi Becton.
Rogers is consistent and healthy too. So
You know what? Yeah, if that's the bar, being able to show up to the game and throw passes, it's a pretty low bar.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at this, Rogers is throwing his accuracy is not there. What happened?
Oh, I
The
know.
arm doesn't go. Everything goes, but the arm doesn't go. We'll know his arm is going,
Yeah, and
or his vision.
even in the post game interview, he was like, "Yeah, I should have put a little more air under the ball to this guy and a little bit." And it's like, that's why you're here.
well, he
You
can't
can't
see
make
straight.
those throws.
He can't see straight. He's picking himself up off of the turf, after every play. He doesn't really know where he is. Between plays, he's got to get his head together and figure it out again.
So does he
So,
come? Does he come back? Does he
Yeah,
stay with the Jets next year?
yeah.
you know, I'm still in the camp of I bring him back because we don't have we you don't have an option right now.
Right.
And if you draft a quarterback, it's unless you make some crazy moves to go one or two, right? To get somebody. Even so, even if you do, I think you got to go back to old school of put the quarterback with the clipboard in his hand.
Yeah.
So
And I think there's
what happened to
value to
those
that,
days?
right? There's
Yeah,
value to having somebody watch Aaron
so
Rod. I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers studied under Favre
yeah,
and
and
let him
and
do that
and what are you going to do? So you want to get rid of them. You're going to pop somebody in there temporarily
again. And it may not be
again,
the guy you want.
right?
You may wind
Oh,
up with, you may wind up with a Cam Ward, who amazing athlete and somewhat less than committed to his team.
yeah. Well, and also think about this, right? Whoever they bring in for a GM and for a head coach, right, may have some influence on another player coming to the team, right? We just don't know what kind of connections are out there. We have no idea. But, I think Rogers and Taylor and everybody else, I think they all need to come back and they need to compete for the starting job. I think that's it. Like in spring training, they need to all compete for that
Well,
starting slot.
here's what kills me about the whole Jets of it all, and that is this year the people were like, well, it could be a wild card team maybe. I just wanted them to be a team that was good enough that you actually had to game plan against. Right, instead of just show up, get off the bus and play them like you normally would. And it's sort of like if you came to this as a fantasy football owner, right? And you let's say you go through your fantasy football draft and you come out with uh above average defense, good running back, good wide receiver. You make a couple trades with your buddies, you pick up an elite wide receiver and a Hall of Fame quarterback. You would expect your fantasy team to be better.
Yeah.
This team got worse. And so, does it all go back to the coaching and leadership? Aaron Rodgers clearly not delivering on the leadership like I thought he
No,
would.
he's not leaving in a leadership because I think he's just in the room and his press conferences are, they're just super laid back. He's just like, yeah, like I don't think he cares.
I don't. I think you're right. I don't know how much he cares, but what the Jets really need to focus on right now is they need to focus on keeping the players that they have. Like, let's not lose everybody. Let's keep everybody that we can. I don't know what kind of contractual agreements we got out there for all these folks, but they're individually, there are a lot of really desirable players that can go anywhere else and really be successful. And I think that's something that the office needs to really look at is player retention. How are we going to keep these guys?
Yeah.
And
Well,
if it's
I think that
Rogers, then it's Rogers.
you're right, player retention, but again, now that rolls because it's everything is a result and it affects the next move or the prior move, right? So if you want to retain them, it goes back to who's going to come in to coach,
Hmm.
right? That's part of your retention. And now think about that. Who's going to come? Who wants to come and play for the Instagram owner? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
The
what do we
social
think?
media kings and his son.
Yeah. What do we think about Mike Vrabel as the potential coach?
I don't know. I think in New York he's getting beat to death. You know, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he seems to have lost his guys. It's I liked him and he lost everybody.
Yeah.
They're a mess. They're a dumpster fire.
Yeah, although I feel like he's the finalist, and I think he's at a point to where he's like he wants to approve the general manager hire, and then he's in. So I mean, is it the kind of coach that wakes the Jets up? I kind of like him. I think he's got a proven track record. He wants the job. That's good. And I'm out on the whole Rex Ryan and all these other guys, and I want somebody a little younger.
Rex Ryan got a nice set of teeth, though. Did you see that?
He's a
They
good
look. I
looking
mean,
man.
they're perfect.
Very nice.
That's got to be worth something.
That's got to be worth something to somebody. Just not me
That's,
or the Jets. But to go back to Dean's point, you know what? I still think we can't get for how many years have we been in the cycle of, oh, we're going to go to the draft. We got a high draft pick. We're going to get a quarterback, maybe not the quarterback, but maybe a quarterback, and then run him out there with no offensive line and ruin his life, and he goes off somewhere else. We need to just draft offensive linemen, offensive linemen. If your name is Hawaiian or Samoan, I want you.
that's so true.
300 plus
So,
pounds, Samoan last name.
yeah. Well, what a mess. The rookie. He's just, he was doing very well this season, and he got hurt.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So, so what are your thoughts on the Sam Darnold? Right, his name keeps coming up. Would he even consider coming here? And does he have just a 1 year deal with the Vikings?
I believe it is a
Right?
one-year deal, but how are they
Yeah,
not gonna do
they
do
have
a
to
deal
retain
with
him.
him? I mean, look what
They
he's done.
have to.
The
Yeah,
Vikings have been a quarterback away from the Super Bowl since I don't know Teddy Bridgewater, since Fran Tarkenton practically.
yeah,
And maybe they finally found their guy. They're going to make him a deal. I just don't think. And I've always been a Sam Darnold fan. I thought he was the guy. He was the
tough.
he was the prototype for a guy who can't get anything done because there's no blocking. And we've been dogging on Aaron Rodgers. He never gets more than 2 seconds to throw the ball. So, which is kind of impressive that he's done even a little bit of that. But with Sam Darnold
Yeah.
couldn't get it done. He's at the Vikings. He's got some time to throw. He's a
Yeah.
pretty damn good quarterback. He's not coming
Yeah.
back.
He's got all day to throw, and he looks like he's built a great relationship with all of his receivers, and everybody's on the same page, and everybody is doing their thing. I don't see that with the Jets. I mean, like Aaron Rodgers and whoever receiver practice their little handshake, but outside of that, I don't really see anything more than that, right? But I see more of like I see a lot more of a connection with Darnold and his receivers in Minnesota, and kudos to them, right? I mean, they're marching down the field, they're Super Bowl contenders. I think they're a team to beat. I really do. I think they got all the momentum right now.
Yeah.
You said, they have the good connection with the players. That kind of happens when you start to win. That's
I like that.
amazing. It just starts to happen.
Things are always better when you're winning.
Yeah.
You're a genius when you win.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I don't. Do you see the Jets? They're drive down the field. They're on the 20-yard line, 21, something like that. 4th and 1. I'm like, okay, you know what? Grab the points. You got Zerline back. You got Greg the leg sitting on the sideline. They go for it on 4th and 1, and they couldn't run the ball. They can't run the ball. What do? They run up the middle, boom, stuffed. Okay, right. Again, that changes everything. You
Yeah.
walked away with 0. They marched it back down the field and scored like, you know, I think they were getting double points every time they touched the ball. However that worked, but you know, like, just this. He's terrible. He's a bad decision maker.
Who?
You know,
Ulrich?
Ulrich. He's a
Yeah.
bad decision maker. I mean, he's bad. We're going for it. Okay, I get the defensive mind, right? That's the knucklehead. Let's pound him in the mouth and go right for it. But you clearly haven't been able to run the ball on this
Right.
whole drive.
Right.
You know, and you know, and like you said, so on 3rd and 1, okay, 3rd and 1, you know, run the ball. But fourth
Everybody
and
go
one, if you're
deep.
going to go for it, then throw it. But take the points. It changes the dynamic. It changes everything. I don't care. But I know it bugs me. Bugs
Look,
me.
he was never going to be the coach unless something miraculous happened. And I feel bad for the
Mm.
guy. I mean, look, you got to take that
Yep.
shot.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Yeah, but again, I'll go back to what I said before with him is, how do you? I mean, he was set up for failure, right? Because how do you be the head coach and the defensive coordinator at the same time? And since then, right, neither have really produced
right,
at all, right?
right. The
Because
defense is
he's
folded up the tent.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
he's got to do both, and he can't. That's too much. That is
Well,
why teams have separate positions for all of those things. That's why they have defensive coordinators. That's why they have head coaches, right? So one person isn't trying to do everything. And I think that was a mistake on the Jets' part, right? Is when elevating him to head coach, they should have been like, "Hey, listen, we want you to do this, but you got to give up something here. We got to bring in somebody else. We got to elevate somebody else to really take over the majority of the defensive coordinating, just so he can focus on what he needs to focus on, and that's winning ball games."
it's a very, very good point. But to even instill solidify your point even further, besides the fact of doing both jobs, this was his first time as a head coach. He has
Oh,
zero head coach experience. If you've got a seasoned head coach, and something crazy happens to your defensive coordinator and you're a defensive guy, okay, I get it, right? You could probably work that out, but not the opposite way for first time. I agree. They totally set up for failure. Yep.
yeah.
Look, I think Woody was pissed.
Yeah, he was just pissed. Yeah.
Right, look, I invest a lot of money. I got you great wide receiver. I got you a Hall of Fame quarterback. I made the offensive line a little better. I did everything I could do, and you guys are still not getting done. Salah, you're out of here. Pack up your stuff and go. Oh, I need a coach. Hey, you there? What's your name? You're in. You're the head coach.
And what was telling too during the press conference with Ulrich, I can't even say the guy's name. Shame on
Albrecht.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would. They asked him about Rogers, his one of his misthrows, and he actually made a couple of poor decisions, by the way. But anyway, aside from they asked him about it. He said, "I don't know. I didn't see it. I was buried. I was buried in my working on my defensive plays." There you go. Right? He even said it himself. Crazy.
No,
So
it really is not. And but you know what? I think that's very indicative of what the whole team was like this week. It's like they were all checked out. They were all doing something else. I mean, I think they were making travel arrangements on the sidelines to go play golf in the Bahamas.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, it was just a team that just did not show up. So, I mean, look, I mean, Dean, I think you're right. The only person who really had a good week was Taylor because he got to come in the game and score a couple touchdowns and look like an
Yeah.
NFL player.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
even though it was garbage time, it still got to feel great to score a touchdown in the NFL. So, good for him. But the rest of it,
Well,
the team checked
and
out.
yeah. Well, who takes the field next week? Right? Does Rogers just stay in the ice bath, just like chilling his muscles,
no,
or and Taylor comes in and starts for us, or do they risk? Do they risk it? Because I mean they don't need a win. It doesn't matter, at this point. It's just another game they got to get through to finish out the season, But I think that's the question: is like what do they do? Like who do they run out onto the field? As a quarterback.
Well, what's the risk? I mean, isn't this the end of his contract of Rogers' contract? I think if given the opportunity, actually I do think he'd like to come back. Especially with another coach and another general manager. I think he doesn't want to go out this way. I mean, look, they were talking about him going to the Browns to compete for the quarterback job.
yeah.
He doesn't want to be in that movie.
No, he doesn't want to
I think he'd like to
compete.
make this work.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that. I think because if he wants to play one more year, he said it, and this is the easiest step in for him. I just think maybe he doesn't have as much pull and say of what's going to be right. A new
Right.
coach coming in is going to be like, okay, that's great. You're our starting quarterback, unless proven otherwise, right? Unless I bring somebody in and if you're not performing, it's going to be treated like a real football team. So I think he'll be back in that instance, but who knows what it'll be? I mean, I'm kind of contradicting myself with that thought of if he doesn't have enough say, maybe he won't come back. But I'm okay with him coming back because we don't have an option at the moment, you know, and it gives us more time but they're gonna have to bring somebody in, right? Does Tyrod Taylor stay, and who is the starter moving forward if these two guys are together again? I still think it's Rodgers. And to add to your question before is do you go back out with Rodgers? I believe he's going to be. I think he's going out to tomorrow next week.
I think so
I
too.
think he's going
And
out. Yeah.
and don't you think that Rogers thrived under a strong coach, right? At the Packers. It's a very strong coach. I mean, certainly Rogers has a lot of leeway, even at the Packers. He changes half the plays, does all that stuff. But he knows he thrived when he knew his place in the order, not when he was this, uh larger than life character, which I just don't know that he ever was in Green Bay. I think he needs it. That's why I kind of like the Vrabel pick. I think that's a good pairing.
Yeah, there's something going on in Green Bay though that's not going on in New York as well, right? Because look at Jordan Love. Look at the success he's having And he obviously was under Rodgers, just like Rodgers was
Hmm.
under Favre, right? They've got a system. They have got a complete team system where everybody's on the same page, making plays and moving the football down the field, doing what they need to do. I think they were trying to establish that same thing with Rodgers and Hackett and all the
Hmm.
other deadbeats that he drug over with him, Cobb and those guys, and it just didn't work, right? They just couldn't get it to work. So, what is that? What are these pieces that are missing? And they've been missing since 1969 for the Jets, right? It's like
Yeah.
this whole thing, this
They
whole
were good in
system.
1970, Dean. Come on.
Okay, all right. So, but it's just it puzzles me.
I,
It's
s-
like what is it?
I still think I think it's a lack of strong offensive coaching. Because
Yeah, for
I
sure.
really think Rodgers has fallen into a real trap where he drops back and looks for Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
that's
I think
exactly it.
that's every play he's dropping back and looking for
Yeah,
him, and it's like that's not good fundamental football.
right. That's backyard ball right there.
100% backyard ball, and Garrett Wilson. Yeah, I was hard on him in the first, 3, 4, 5 games. I'm like, where's this guy at? Well, now you can see where he's at. He's not. He needs to be the premier guy.
Yeah,
He needs to be the premier guy. Like this, they're throwing Adams the ball. Adams is choice number one, and he looks him down. He's been looking him down.
right, right.
Yeah,
Every play, absolutely. And so I think a stronger coach with a more offensive mind is gonna help. I mean, and I mean certainly, I mean Hackett's not even calling the plays anymore, right? I mean, he's got
no,
to be gone.
no, it's
Right?
yeah.
He's got to
Yeah.
go.
Listen,
Oh,
Garrett and
go
Hall
back.
have to be the premier.
Yeah, go back through Jets history, right, and look at the coaches they had with their best seasons and what was each of those coaches Myers-Briggs, right? Let's dissect that a little bit. Let's see what was the element, right? And then let's try to find that. Let's try to find that in a coach. Let's try to find that whatever that element is. Does he scare the hell out of the players? Is he a players type of person? Is he not a players coach at all? He's just a you do as I say, not as I do kind of person, right? I mean, think that might be something worth analyzing. Is what is it? What do they really need? What do they or maybe even let's survey the players, right? Get all the players. Like, what do you guys? What is it that we're lacking in coaching? And then I mean. I don't know if they care at all, or could even put a finger on it, but I'm sure there'd be some pretty good opinions that would come out of something like
Yeah,
that.
and does
Yeah.
it's sort of tough because like look at the Cowboys. They brought Mike McCarthy, who's a tough guy coach, and it just didn't work. So it's still there's still got to be a chemistry thing there. So
Right. Yeah, I like
it's tough.
him.
It's
I
tough.
like McCarthy.
Yeah,
I,
but they're
Have
not
you?
playing for him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you seen the one of the feeds? Right, it comes out and the what was it? Bill Parcells was a savage on the
Oh yeah, I
sidelines. Have
saw
you
that.
seen
Yeah,
that thing pop up? Yeah.
yeah.
It was awesome. He's like, listen, he grabbed one of the Jets. I couldn't figure out what receiver it was. He's like, if you're dogging it again out there, if you don't run, he goes, your ass is going to be on the bench. And you know what? And next week, you're going to be sitting in New York watching us play on TV. I was like, nice. I
I,
just love that.
and I think they all loved him. I think they all loved him. He's such a tough guy. And he's
Yeah.
so but you got to have the skins on the wall to do that. That's great stuff. I tell you what,
Yeah.
I am tired of in the world of the NFL right now, though. I am very tired of Joe Burrow MVP talk. Yes, he's having a great year. Yes,
Yes.
they are wasting a banner quarterback year, but that team stinks and they lose and they're going to continue to lose. And the MVP you can't get the MVP off a team that stinks.
All right. Ask me what I'm tired of.
What are you tired of, Gene?
All of sports, right? Here's what I'm tired of.
He's had enough.
The
Professional
word
cornhole, he's tired of it. Curling, tired of it.
no. Here's what I'm tired of in all sports lately: the misuse or the overuse of the word physicality.
Ooh.
If I have to hear physicality one more time, I'm going to bang my own head into the wall to prove physicality for something. Like everything is physicality. I'm watching, of course, we don't miss a Knicks game in our house because we're not allowed to, by the way. Just, Jamie's, that's it. Every night is the finals. So every other night when they play, that's all they say physicality. I'm listening to football is physicality. The second most used is any commentator on the NFL saying in the National Football League, and he's a real player in the National Football League. I'm like, guys, like overuse. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe because I'm so frustrated with the Jets, everything is annoying me.
Everything is annoying. Yeah, yeah. This is got to be a new segment now. What are you tired of? We can all go around the horn. What are you tired of? And you talked about physicality, and the thing that drives me crazy is in space.
Yeah, that drives me bananas. Yeah, yeah. What?
He made a
Just
great
terrible.
catch in space. He's a
Yeah,
good runner in space.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
what
Okay.
space? Are we in orbit?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
some of the guys might be a little bit. Yeah.
What's all right? Then what are you tired of, Dean?
Well, I'm tired of it all. In general, I'm tired of just huge salaries and and then we put so much expectation on all of these players, and then they put so much expectation on themselves, and then when they don't perform, they don't perform. Um, but I Baker Mayfield is like a quarterback that I love to watch.
Yeah,
Like I love that guy. I think he's great. I don't think he's ever been given enough due respect. And he's not the greatest, right? Maybe, but he's just a great player, and I would MVP him just for having a badass attitude over Burr any day.
and,
Just because that guy just goes out, competes, and wins.
and
He's
the
not
improvement
expected
he's
to
made in that
win. He's
team.
not like Burrow's expected to do these things. He's like the second coming, and so I would MVP Baker Mayfield right away. I wouldn't even question it.
That's great because nobody talks about him, and he is exciting to watch. He's like Bernie Kosar, right? Just it's like you don't want to go up against him, but he's not the big guy all over the place. He just makes it happen. And you know what else besides besides not Bernie, he makes a good commercial. He does a good
Yeah,
job with commercials.
he's very funny. He's a very funny dude. There's one on now where he's in disguise, like he shows up at a practice for like a corporate event, and they're everybody's throwing balls around, punt, pass, and kick, and he's like the guy from the shipping department, and they give him a ball, and he chunks it, and he goes 60 yards.
Yeah,
He's in all kind of a disguise. I like
there's
Baker
not
Mayfield,
much.
and I hope he does really
I
well
like
there.
Bakerfield.
I
Yep,
want to
that's
see him
great.
do well there, and he has made a
Yep.
big improvement in that team. You know what? And that's a guy I was really man. I would love to see him in the green and white. I really. It didn't work out, but because he's kind of a working class sort of guy. He sort of fits in with the pipe fitter fans. The Jets are. I mean, he just sort of fits in with the team. So I
Yeah.
don't know if we'll ever have a
Yeah.
chance to get him, but I like him a lot.
Who's going to want to come? It is this. I call the Giants a dumpster fire. The Jets are a dumpster fire.
Oh
So
yeah. Well, look, and it's really funny. We've got the Jets are just I I can't decide if I think Cincinnati is the most disappointing team in the NFL this year, but the Jets are right behind them. I mean, we really should have been knocking on the door for the play. We expected the Giants to stink. We expected the Bears to stink. We expected the Panthers to stink, and they have not
yeah.
disappointed. Um, but Cincinnati really thought they would be there, and the Jets, we were all like, oh yeah, we gotta, we could be in there for the wild card, and it's like we're 4-12.
Right. Yeah. Like again, going back a little bit to Baker Mayfield and, what kind of pressure is on him to perform, right? Compared to what kind of pressure was Aaron Rodgers under to perform. And of course, he accepted that pressure, right? He accepted that. He went after it, thinking that he could fully well make it happen. So, that makes a big difference, right? Between, having fun, playing the game, and then trying to force every situation to prove yourself or to prove your team, to prove a win. And I wonder if that's part of it. I wonder if like Aaron he just can't take that heat right now, anymore, or he doesn't want to.
But isn't that what happened to Baker Mayfield last time?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
He's older and wiser now, but
yeah.
Bringing the pressure on. Hey, if you run out with a flag on 9/11 in New York to start the season, you're bringing pressure on.
Sure.
Do you remember? That was it. That was the moment. He's coming out. The whole country is watching. It's 9/11. It's the Jets. It's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that guy was at the pinnacle of look at me. I'm going to make this stuff happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The expectation train came right off the tracks. Oh, man. All right.
Down in Jamaica. Right. So, yeah.
Right. Change in Jamaica. All right. Well, let's wrap up this very whiny episode of Third and Too Long, another Jets podcast. All right. That's it. We'll be back next week. Gene, take it away.
It still is the best chant in the NFL.
Jets. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.